Halo Infinite is an incomplete mess with half-baked promises, from the customization to being
Content that we have on day one ensures that there will be millions.
in reality only having a handful of hamstrung options, taking away from the heart of Halo, and headache-inducing problems like long load times, server desync, progression systems that make me want to self-harm and never play Halo Infinite ever again. But there's a lot to love, from the core gameplay loop being a revitalization of a classic arena shooter, to the refined Sandbox with its many tools and how they interact with one another is just so good. Only to be dragged down by more bad decisions, much like a toxic relationship, I keep coming back after being slapped, punched, and spit in the face by the game and its devs. I love it. Hit me harder, Daddy. 3 for 3. Yeah! Bring me in bed. I don't even know how to truly start this. Guess we can share the experience of waiting for the menus to load.
Later.
Oh shit! It's done loading? When a game makes you wait 20 seconds to several minutes, we have reached a roadblock where we shouldn't have. Unless you're a masochist, like me, you have to sit here and wait for the menus to be done loading to even have the options to start a game in the campaign, or to get into queue for a multiplayer match. And you think once the menus are done loading, everything is loaded, right? Wrong! No! Your friend list, battle pass, challenges, and customization menus all load slower. To even get graced with the presence of the armory to change your Spartan's armor or your weapons coatings or clan tag, you have to wait for another menu to be done loading. It's exhausting waiting for menus. The player doesn't get a chance to even play or browse the selection of things to unlock or buy until after all the menus are done. It's nothing but a time waster, and I wish I was banished. Banished, a terrifying sect of Covenant defectors under the command of a brute named Atriox, the main antagonist of Halo Infinite's campaign, is introduced in a beautifully shot opening scene, panning from Halo to a fight upon the UNSC Infinity, where Marines and a sexy 7-foot tall man is fighting for their last breath against an unrelenting force. With the chief being bested by the brutal brute himself, picked up like a toy and thrown around like emotions when it comes to Halo and an abusive relationship. To then be thrown out of the ship, just like George, throwing Noble 6 out, and cut to the Brohammer, the man himself. Your unrelenting transporting hero. The Brohammer. The true hero of Halo Infinite. The opening is so good, it establishes many things. The hero, the antagonist, the location, your motive. You want to get back at the Banished and an Atriox. And over the course of the campaign, piece by piece, you make that happen. The very first level opens up with you fighting your way through a Banished location, letting the player get their hands on instantly one of the best things about Halo Infinite. And that's the new equipment, more specifically the grapple shot. Letting the player have a chill but vertical environment to play around in is so much fun as you fight through and get to the surface of Halo where the game's open world is up. Once they take over the banished outpost, the player gains the opportunity to aboard the Pelican Brohammer is piloting to take to their next mission objective, the tower. The campaign is solid, it's amazing. The art design of the locations, enemies, weapons, it's immaculate, it's beautiful. The open world opens up many problems, like engagements being cheesy, and the open world not being fun to traverse with how it's designed. Every path you could take with the vehicle becomes almost impossible to overcome with many trees, rocks, branches, and whatever else ends up making you backtrack to find a different path to almost every time just being met with the same roadblocks, so you get out and use your trusty dusty grapple shot, making vehicles an integral part of the Halo Sandbox experience, new and annoying to work with. Compared to the creative shooting galleries experiences that the Forerunner Corridors brings you, the open world also underdelivers on the whole open world aspect of the game, with not enough meat to the bone for a shitty collectathon. Needing to rescue squads, take back forward operating bases or FOBs, and find lockers for multiplayer items is just, it's not enjoyable to go out and do these things when the game kinda handicaps itself with its map design making vehicles unable to traverse, or worse, having an enemy spawn and shoot you out of the air every time. Which let's discuss enemies, which are done so damn amazingly in Halo Infinite, between squad tactics being on point with squads of enemies pushing you when your health is low, switching weapons for the situations flanking you. Oh, it's so good! They all look so damn good, from the classic Grunt and Elite to the Hunters and Brute, and how they interact with the players just adds so much more depth to the gameplay loop. One of the coolest things ever was seeing a Jackal rotate his shield, shooting me with a new hand position. Such a small thing, but adding so much more to an enemy we've seen in every Halo game. Keeping veteran Halo players on their toes and giving new players a modernized Halo experience. Seeing Marines take cover together and their banter back and forth adds not only character to these otherwise nameless enemies and allies, but that one grunt that called me a nipple sucker, or a brute who called me a hairless ape, it makes it personal. And it's always a good laugh hearing Marines smack talk the Banished and hearing the Banished smack talk back. Now, Halo Infinite Sandbox is amazing. 343 made a fantastic call to cut the fat of Halo's overabundant sandbox, either reworking old tools, combining tools together into a fun new tool to use, or even adding an entirely new tool to the sandbox. Weapons like the Sentinel Beam having increased damage due to a new type of damage called Hardlight, which deals additional damage to vehicles, makes it an amazing close quarter bursting down weapon. Or like the Repulsor, a full auto electric weapon able to strip down shields, delay them from recharging, and after so many shots on the target, damage over time. The ability to EMP vehicles make it so much more fun, which the additional elements of electric and hardlight to the sandbox add so much more depth. Having electric be able to EMP vehicles, watching them turn blue and keep their momentum sliding to where they were heading and stop is so satisfying. And with Hardlight dealing additional damage to vehicles and disintegrating players and vehicles alike, it makes the new vehicle mechanics sudden death not happen. Which let's talk about vehicles. Get in, bitch, we're going for it, right? Vehicles have been my personal favorite aspect of Halo, and how it meshes with the rest of the sandbox is just adds so much to the experience that is Halo. Vehicles have received a ton of love in this game, from hot swapping seats, a fantastic addition from Halo 5, to the new driving controls allowing you to use the left thumbstick to fine-tune driving without relying on the camera, to even the new sudden death mechanic allowing you to get an indication that you're about to be toast. Either make use of these last few seconds before you go boom, or bail out and save your lives. Vehicles in this game are so fine. So fine. They have not only gained increased speed and maneuverability, but health too, allowing a Warthog to not get beamed down by small arms fire, or quickly flank an enemy team to secure a push. But speaking of pushing, let's talk equipment. There's two amazing equipments, the Chads, Grapple Chad and Repulse Chan, who's a neat and can't handle serious relationships, so they push everything away. And then there's the Drop Shield, the Holy Protector. Get behind my shield, let it take its beatings! And the awkward younger brother, the Threat Sensor, and the chatty daddy Thruster Pack. Each of these equipments further enrich the amazing 4-course meal that is Halo Infinite, with a grapple shot allowing for quick traversal of the maps and allowing some amazingly fun routes around them, and allowing you to do some insane flanks. The Repulsor, which is just a Uno reverse card with extra glamour, let's just be honest here, with the functionality of a smash counter allowing the user to repulse things back, such as grenades and rockets, to being able to push players around, or even long live the king, off ledges, including yourself. The ability to basically turn the repulsor into a super jump allows for many options of tackling a fight. That bastard pestering you on top of a catwalk, just repulse jump into his face and show him the broadside of your hammer. Or the deployable shield wall, which is the hot take of the day, is a fantastic evolution of the bubble shield. Instead of giving a blanket protection from all corners and having to wait to hurt whoever's behind the shield, which waiting is never fun in a shooter in my opinion. It allows a fun dynamic of attack defense styles, with the drop shield's quick deploy time allowing aggressive players to push up for those 1v1s. While having enough health and modularity, it allows for teams to use it to gain just that extra edge defending an objective or a chokehold, and it doesn't stop the opposing team cold with how you can shoot out different squares in it, or even shoot the projector itself to get rid of the entire shield. Oh, and did I mention, you can fucking shoot through it, but only on one side. It's fucking awesome! The Thruster Pack, zoom, whee! The Thruster Pack is pretty self-explanatory. If you played a movement shooter before, this should be very familiar. It's an item that lets you quickly go into a direction of your choosing, allowing you to close the distance on an enemy, or quickly peek and gain the edge on an even gunfight, or quickly retreat to get behind cover. It has a ton of uses. And then the Threat Sensor. This thing is underwhelming and super fucking niche. You basically shoot out this dart, and it has this pulsing sphere that's supposed to paint the enemy and show them to your allies, allowing you to warn them of a sneaky sword user waiting around for you, flooding an objective, cut you all down like the swine you are, or to spot a cloaky boy, but no one really pays attention, let's be honest. It's public lobbies, your ass isn't playing with friends, I mean come on! No one really playing Halo Infinite, it's all fake. 343 doesn't really make Halo Infinite. It's all a fever dream, it's just a drunken nightmare. Forever coiling into despair. You know, I think I need a breakup with Halo. It's like every time I come out, I always have bruises and I always feel dirty and bad, and I need to stand up for myself. Okay, enough ass kissing. It's time to talk about my gripes, hypes, and yikes 343 has done. Now, we are getting into the meat and potatoes of Infinite. And there's not a lot of meat to the sack of potatoes game. Let's start off with just how the game runs. Shots don't register a whole second later. Sometimes you can blaze down everyone in multiplayer, no problem. But then sometimes you just shoot everyone with Nerf darts. And it's all from servers not properly registering players' locations and connections. I'm not a tech expert, I'm just a gamer. Sorry if I butchered these terminologies, but like, fuck, this is unbearable and unacceptable from a multi-billion-dollar publisher with a dev team with all the funding in the world, basically. When every game, every gunfight, every action is a coin toss. Because all of a sudden, desync just goes, die. It ruins the fun for everyone involved. I like a hard-fought loss over an easy victory. But I never get those. I always leave every game wondering, did I really do better than that player? Did I really win that fight? Should I have won that match? Or did desync fuck someone over like a game-winning play or something? And vice versa. It's not enjoyable for me, and I know it's not enjoyable or fun for anyone else. The Battle Pass menus just don't load correctly. Season 2, the icons in the Battle Pass deload themselves. Like, how the fuck does this happen? In Season 1, the game had a horrible crashing problem. Early in the season, I wanted to grind up to Onyx and rank for that sick recon charm and Onyx weapon and emblem. But every game, my game would crash at some point. In Season 1, the game had a horrible crashing problem. Early in the season, I wanted to grind up to Onyx in ranked for that sick recon charm and Onyx weapon emblem. But every game, my game would crash at some point, whether it be at the start of the match while everyone's loading in, or during the player introduction, or worse, while I'm actively playing. There was a time I was playing Oddball on Livefire, which we'll get back to Oddball in a second. I was holding the ball trying to play keep away from the enemy, waiting for my team to respawn. As I was sitting there, with the ball in hand, taking cover in the roof where the pillar is, when I was stuck, pinned down by grenades and rifle fire, 3 blunts on my radar. They're close. Do I make a bolt for it now? Do I stay and give up the ball and take a kill? Well, it didn't matter. The game just crashed. I received a 15-minute ban. For real, I say to myself, in an empty apartment, realizing I had no friends to share my shitty experience with. I fucking hate this game. The more I talk about it and play it, the more I'm just like 3 for 3. This shit is just unacceptable. It's 2022, and it's like we have zero quality control in anything, and it's fucking sad. Which, back on topic, Oddball was a mode that was picked 9 out of 10 goddamn times. I was so over Oddball, it was the only fucking mode the game picked, which this happened with several game modes when they introduced them. Attrition, a game mode where each team tries to run out the enemy lives. And once you run out of lives, the round was won by eliminating the enemy team. But the catch was, you could revive on your very last life only. A fun game mode in short bursts, but when it was added in the rotation of social game modes, it had the same problem Oddball had, and it was the only game mode being picked by the servers. Same things happen with King of the Hill. It ends up just being the same game mode on repeat, while only ever seeing other modes once in a blue moon. It felt like a glitch in the Matrix when the game picked a game mode outside of the one on repeat. Season 2 introduced an audio bug that caused dialogue, effects, and many other things to be on repeat. Pulling a pin, hearing that sound on repeat for several seconds, and then seeing that explosion happen several times. And it's just a monotony of issues ends up just causing a bunch of headache, unexcusable for a company that holds more money than I could possibly even conceive. This doesn't even scratch the surface of the problems in Halo Infinite. There's more. I'm running out of breath. It's suffocating! Which, speaking of suffocating, funny problems. The sword has been the main focus of this game, and it feels like all the cool armors and such get slapped into the store. Some classic armor pieces too, which is unacceptable. When the game was in shambles and the store didn't work, what was fixed first? The game? You're kidding yourself. You really think logic is a common denominator in this realm of suits and money bags. No, it was the fucking store page that was fixed first. The game has bare bone customization. Most of it is locked behind a paywall or multiple. When the store first came out, just for a few colors or armor pieces was anywhere from $10 to $20 or 1,000 to 2,000 credits, with a single US dollar being roughly around 100 credits. It wasn't worth people's money to get a color coding or some emblems, maybe a visor and a chest piece or some shoulder pads. It was insane. When Reach came out, it came with a recon helmet with some attachments, for free, for owning a brand new copy of Halo Reach or by pre-ordering it. And on top of that free helm, you had access to a plethora of armor pieces from helmets to attachments, chest rigs, and shoulder pads, and 90 colors, all for the price of $60. For a helmet in Halo Infinite with attachments, they were asking for anywhere from $8 to $20. It was crazy. For fucking cat ears and a shitty charm and pink and white color for your Mark 7 suit, it was $10. It was so bad, and the community backlash was so loud. 343 had to announce that they were slashing prices in half moving forward, which was fantastic. While it lasted. Over the course of a few months after that announcement, and they did slash prices, they slowly brought the prices back up. Slowly but surely, it became very obvious with the return of the Fractured Event entrenched week 2 when they released the Lead Belcher set, a full set of armor for an event core that's only available during this event. The only time you can unlock it is by progressing through this event 5 levels, or $18, or 18,000 fucking credits. When just a month prior, there was an entire set of armor for the Mark 7, for which everyone has access to when they boot up Infinite, for half the price. It's greedy. Is greedy the right word here? Because 343 is showing malevolence. And as we continue to talk about this, it'll show. With the sharp prices for armor sets hot off our heels of talking points, customization, or really the lack of customization, I had to literally walk away from typing up the script several times because how upset I personally am about Halo's downfall. And this is the part I'm personally most upset about. They couldn't even do this right. In Halo Reach, no Spartan was the same, truly, except for cosplays of ODST's, Master Chief, and Caboose. I don't know, but no Spartan looked truly the same. There was always something different about their armor, the colors they used. There was a ton of player expression. Even the emblem, which you could change about, would reflect you as a player. From the basic bitch wolf emblem, to the default as fuck smileys, to the crazy unique ones I saw. Vegeta, the grunt with a star, or exploding Stinky with a boom background. Just the emblems I could sit here for hours expressing my love for, just being able to slightly change up the emblems we had access to, and the backgrounds, and the ability to toggle the emblem to make it completely different. The unicorn is a great example. You could toggle it to disable the horn to make it into a horse. That's cool! And that's a small thing. Added so much depth to how a player could express themselves in an emblem that only showed up on the leaderboard or on the collar of your chest ring. Something so small was so big, and it was stripped down and devoid of all the choice in Halo 5, and now further in Halo Infinite. And the armor cores further beat down the player expression that we had. Much better than what we had in Halo 5, but that's no excuse. With the claim of thousands of day one Spartan options, almost a year into Halo's Infinite's life cycle, and that claim still doesn't hold up. It's just sad. Armor cores seem like a cool idea on paper, but on execution it's lackluster when each core only has certain armors restricted to the core. It prevents players from truly having the ability to express themselves and conforms them into this box. And in this box, you only get a handful of options from armors to colors due to the armor coding system. And yes, each time they introduced a core, there's even less options and less colors, further restricting player choice and freedom. Yes, you can customize that box to an extent, but at the end of the day, you're still confined to that box. What's worse is when they introduce a new armor core and you have to either buy parts for it or grind out an event or a battle pass for parts only for that core. And it makes it where, let's say, I enjoy the Mark V Grenadier helmet, which I do. It's been my helmet since Halo Reach. But I want to use the Mark VII cat ears. Perfect audio. But use the Rashala's Under Armor or undercoat. I'm not allowed to do that because the helmet I want is restricted to the Mark V's core, and the helmet attachment is restricted to the Mark VII's core. Same thing when you say the Sky Marshal helmet. Can't use it on anything but the entrenched core. So on, so forth. Do you see the problem? It restricts player expression, and the color coding system doesn't help either, having pre-selected colors. And you can't even use the pre-selected colors cross-core, which they've addressed. They're implementing it. You shouldn't have to wait for it. A certain core has a color combination you really like, but you don't like the core's armor pieces and would like to use those colors on a different core? Too fucking bad. Whine about it harder, bitch. This problem was solved over 10 years ago with Halo 2. With the option of picking two colors from an array of colors from an amazing color palette, and then with Halo 3, adding even more colors and a third color option. Then Reach even added more colors, but removed the third color selection, but they fleshed out the customization of the armor in exchange. Going from CE only picking between a single color to 2 having the option of playable elites, and 3 letting you change your helmet, chest, and shoulders. And those armor pieces being unlocked through achievements. Like 1 was unlocked from the achievement Used Car Salesman, an achievement only unlocked by blowing up a vehicle with 3 occupants. Or in Reach, where everything was unlocked behind an in-game credit and rank wall, where you had to grind credits, which you got at the end of each match based on your performance, time spent in the match, and the lotto system, which let you save points up to buy armor pieces you wanted. It led to some of the most engaging customization choices in any Halo game. Do I save my points up for this one really cool armor I unlock when I rank up, or do I buy the cheaper armor I can have now? It also led to some of the coolest dynamics of armor basically being related to how experienced someone was with the game, where rare armors were correlated to higher ranks, needing more credits or harder to get achievements, which also led to the effect of seeing armor effects Like the flaming helmet, where in Halo 3 they were only given out to Bungie employees with a few exceptions like Nathan Fillion, the voice actor of Buck, or Pope Rex, who won or Pope Rex, who won the Sarcathlon 4, which led to seeing a flaming helmet to basically being blessed with the sight of seeing a fucking god. Like, holy shit, it was so hyped to not only seeing someone in something like the iconic as fuck recon armor in 3, but when you saw that helmet in flame, you knew you were basically blessed that day. And in Halo Reach, seeing an effect like the Grunt birthday party meant someone spent some time in the game grinding up 2,000 credits. Or seeing the flaming helmet meant they owned the legendary edition of the game, which also came with a rad statue. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda want one. And certain effects were basically only ever seen by certain players with a ton of time in the game. Pestily and inclement weather were basically only worn by people that were part of the 7 hidden rings, because they were so expensive, but it made it where hearing someone go pop, followed by an iconic yay, with confetti coming out of them, was a sight to see, because not everyone had an effect, and not only that, it was only on death, the cheaper effects, the less notable it was. The cheaper the effect, the less notable it was. With Heart Attack occasionally spawning a tiny floating heart that costed 300,000, or Pestilence, you could smell someone from a mile away, and you see their cloud of stink. Very clearly, it was worth so much. It was worth 1 million credits. Very clearly, and it was so worth the 1 million credits. While inclement weather basically gave you a thundercloud strapped to your body. It was amazing! Not only were you rewarded for your dedication, but you could flash it off too. And even though I never got anywhere close to affording pestilence or inclement weather, it was always so cool to see someone with it in-game. And that's all missing in Infinite. Infinite basically took the foundation of Reach's extensive customization, allowing players to choose from their helmet attachments, shoulder pads, chest rig, tactical, wrist, and knees, and lets you change your hands, but removing the substance that Reach had, and either dividing it across multiple incompatible supersuits, or leaving it half-baked and incomplete, such as George's untextured shoulder pads, uncentered shoulders, etc. With all this talk, 343 had of magical techno babble behind the scenes to allow even more player options, but at the same time smacking you across the face and saying, no, you cannot do that. It hurts as a fan, because I was hoping for so much more. I had the idea of letting players add attachments to their chest rigs, shoulder pads, much like how you can do with your helmets, allowing players to add additional pouches, magazines, bullets, knives, radios, and more to their already favorite armor pieces, or letting you choose different paint jobs for the same pieces, and adding so much more depth to the already established pieces. For example, the iconic Grenadier shoulder pad, the same one George's uses for his left arm. Imagining instead of the iconic two-tone color and the stripe, it was a solid color, or it was striped like a construction zone barrier. And you could add a grenade belt to it. Wouldn't that have been epic? I fucking think so. I was hoping for the option to add paint chipping, rust, battle damage, to show off hey, my Spartan has seen time in the field, battle hardened and ready for anything. with a ton of paint being stripped away from the armor and riddled with bullet holes and plasma burns. Or maybe a freshly painted Spartan, a recruit, fresh out of basic. But no. We could have had so much, yet we were let down. The same could be said for the vehicles and weapons customization. Even though we could slap on a cool camo on your vehicles and guns, and make them look slightly different with attachments for the first time ever. Much like how we can do with our armor, we are restricted to the same color coding systems, and only being able to attach a single attachment, even though certain pieces would not conflict with one another. It's just... it has so much potential to just be so little and too late. Now let's rewind a bit about the effects in Halo Infinite. Armor and weapon effects are tied to a player spending money. That's it. So anyone with a credit card can go to the store page or battle pass and just buy a cool effect for their Spartan or weapons. And it dilutes the presence of a player with a spanking effect. Much like in TF2 or Team Fortress 2. Much like in Team Fortress 2, there's a rarity of items called unusuals, which have cool effects from money infinitely falling around you to a ball of gas swirling around the player. There's tons of variety, which certain effects being rarer than others, that's the thing. It was unusual to see them because they were so rare. There were a rare item drop from loot crates. Yes, you had to spend money for them, but it was a lot of money. Normally the highest skilled players had them, or people with a ton of money, because they were not cheap at all, going from anywhere from 8 to 20 bucks to several grand, depending on certain ones. Ooh, the Balloona hoodie with Cloud9 effects. How I want you! Had them. It was extremely uncommon and it added to the glory and glamour that was unusual. It was so uncommon, but it added to the depths of customization and player expression. It showed dedication to the game. Until the TF2 hat market crash of 2019, in which a handful of crates were guaranteed to drop the extremely rare unusual hats, which made really rare unusual hats not so rare, and a much more common thing to see. It was no longer seen as a holy shit moment, it was more like a meh, another day in the office. And that same feeling is in Halo Infinite, where almost every single Spartan I've run across has an armor effect of some kind, from the neon light mohawk to the flaming helmets of old, to the Wolf's Eye energy thing we have now in Season 2. It devalued what should have really been a cool moment, seeing an effect, making it just a blur. In a sea of effects, bland armor choices we are given as players. Because when everyone's special, no one is special. Last but not least, the handful of controversies and gripes that had no real place in the rest of the script. So, let's see. Marketing. Juneteenth. The day in the US freed the last remaining slaves in Texas. Fuck Texas. They added an amazing nameplate that celebrates this historic day in my country's history. Named it something like Freedom. I stand corrected. They named it after a race of fucking monkeys found in the Congo called the Bonobo. Which totally isn't secretly racist. Yes, let's call this thing that's related to Black history after a race of monkeys. And you're telling me none of them was like, yes, this is totally a bad idea. 3 for 3. Do you kiss your mama with that mouth? Cause goddamn. Stop being an edgy 13-year-old hive mind and go touch grass for fuck's sake. Goddamn. Like, this had to be an active fuck up. 343 been hanging out with the Marines a little too much, been eating all the high quality crayons. Which, speaking of crayons, the Pride nameplate was super underwhelming. How is it that Call of Duty can let us have all the Pride nameplates we want to show off who we are as individuals, but Halo can't even get a solid Pride nameplate? They could have done something so cool, and that was the nameplate itself has the Pride colors. And the different color options you have for the nameplate could have included things like gay flag colors, bisexual colors, lesbian, trans, non-binary. Like I rock the trans Pride name tag all damn COD as a proud trans femme. But I can't show that in Halo. For real? And the more and more I talk about Halo Infinite, the more and more excited I am for Modern Warfare 2. I'm not gonna lie. And the lack of anti-cheat. There's not anti-cheat. That's it. There's not much to add to that. It's just bad. Like, Halo Infinite is just a disaster. And I think it's time for some big news, 343. I'm pregnant. Yay! With regret. Aww. Because I'll come back 9 months from now looking for my dopamine fix and crying and filling out for support when it doesn't fucking happen. Fuck you, 343. I'm gonna go punch my stuffed animals. You're here to another 343 shitty launch.